Hi, fans of high quality entertainment. I thought I would gather together 12 of my favorite, well, some of my favorite 60s albums. So just one album per artist. I haven't included the Beatles. So I'm not saying this is, like my top 12 all time favorite 60s albums. They're just some of my favorites from the 60s. And I thought it would be kind of fun just to rank them. I love each and every one of these albums, but it's kind of difficult, when you love all of these albums to actually rank them, but I'm going to try. So they include King Crimson, in the court of the king, in the court of the Crimson King. That's it. Blind Faith, the Kinks, Arthur, or it's also known as Arthur or the Decline and Fall of the British Empire. I just like to call it Arthur. Jefferson Airplane Volunteers, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Bio Country, Steppenwolf, their debut album, Procol Harum, Shine On Brightly, the Buckinghams, In One Ear and Gone Tomorrow, the Monkees' Headquarters, the Rascals' Sea, the Rolling Stones, Their Satanic Majesty's Request, and the Velvet Underground, White Light, White Heat. So give me 24 hours to decide how I'm going to rank these, and I'll be right back. And I'd be curious which of these albums you're not familiar with, because if you haven't heard any of, if you love 60s music and you haven't heard any, some of these albums, I highly recommend you do. You can trust me. So number 12, even though, like I said, I love all 12 of these, but if I had to rank them like I am now, this would be number 12. It is C. It is C by the Rascals. This is a, two CDs, like two albums and a double disc. So it's this one here. And it is just, it's got your typical Rascals pop music, but it's also got these jazz elements, some blues, just a great variety of music, such talented singers. And, they actually played on their own albums. And so they were a very talented band. And if you know any of the Rascals music and you haven't heard C, I highly recommend it. Number 11, I've talked about actually just recently. This is just a 60s band I feel if they're ever thought of or talked about, it's because of their radio hits. They had a few radio hits. But they made really good albums. And this one, their final one, sadly, In One Ear and Gone Tomorrow. Focus here. Yeah, just great. I guess they call it sunshine pop, but they have elements of even kind of hard rock in some of the songs with some excellent lead guitar work. And I'm just impressed every time I listen to the Buckinghams, a very underrated 60s band. And similar is another band that, some people scoff at, and some people don't. And I'm one of those that never has scoffed at the Monkees. So, yeah, the Buckinghams, In One Ear and Gone Tomorrow is number 11. This is number 10, Headquarters. Excellent album. And yes, they they played on the album. My favorite songs are You Told Me, Forget That Girl, You Just May Be the One. Of course, Shades of Grey is a classic. For Pete's Sake, No Time, and probably one of my favorites, Randy's Scouse Skit, which ends the album. Number 9. Of course, this isn't the greatest 60s album by this band, but I chose this one because I still think it's underrated by some people. The Rolling Stones, their Satanic Majesty's Request. And I would say the only song I'm not crazy about is Sing This All Together, See What Happens. But, you know, In Another Land is great, 2000 Man, She's a Rainbow, 2000 Light Years from Home, which might be my all-time favorite Rolling Stones song. So, the Rolling Stones, great album. Number 8. It's hard to believe I would have this at number 8 because I love all of these albums so much, just like I've said, but it's at number 8 because I love other ones even more than this one. And I played this many, many times through the years. It is Jefferson Airplane Volunteers. With, We Can Be Together, Good Shepherd, one of my favorites. Hey Frederick, Wooden Ships, which they actually recorded before Crosby, Stills and Nash recorded their version. Eskimo Blue Day, and of course, Volunteers, the final song. Number 7. It would be a touch higher, except it only has 7 songs, and the one song is one of my least favorite from this band. But it is otherwise a classic. Creedence Clearwater Revival, Bio Country. Yeah, the only song I've never been a big fan of is Graveyard Train. It kind of just plods along for over 8 minutes. But Born on the Bayou, Bootleg, Good Golly Miss Molly, great cover version. Penthouse Popper, very underrated song. Of course, the classic Proud Mary. And one of my 2 favorite CCR songs, Keep On Chooglin'. The other one is Ramble to Him. Number 6, once again, a very underrated band. You know, once again, they're known more for their singles than their great albums, sadly. And their debut is so good. Steppenwolf. Of course, it has the classic Born to Be Wild, but it also has Suki Suki, Everybody's Next One, Barry Rides Again, Desperation, The Amazing, The Pusher, and The Ostrich. Just very impressive. Number 5. This band made a lot of great albums in the 60s and the early 70s. This might be my favorite of theirs. It is Procol Harum, Shine On Bright. Yeah, In Hell 'Twas in I is, of course, an epic. You can tell it was the 60s, man. And Matthew Fisher, he doesn't sing too much on the album, but when he does, I just love his vocals. And of course, the great Gary Brooker. So that's number 5. I think number 4 would probably be a lot of people's number 1 out of these 12 albums. But like I said, I still love it. King Crimson in the Court of the Crimson King. 21st Century Schizoid Man, of course. I Talk to the Wind is so good. and the whole album. My least favorite track is probably Moonchild, but I still really enjoy it. And of course, the final track, The Court of the Crimson King, is another great song. So that's number 4. I can't believe this is number 3. It's one of my all-time favorite albums. Blind Faith. With, of course, Eric Clapton, Ginger Baker, Rick Gretsch, and Eric Clapton. Yeah. Through the years, I played this so many times. Had to Cry Today, Can't Find My Way Home, Well All Right, Presence of the Lord, Sea of Joy, and I even love Do What You Like, with a long rambling drum solo by Ginger Baker. Now, number 2, probably like a year ago, I wouldn't even have this in my list because I'd never heard it, but thanks to the CD exchange I do with Glenn Kellaway from the Basement, this might be my favorite album by the Kinks. Arthur. Victoria, Some Mother's Son, Drivin', Australia, Shangri-La, which is one of my all-time favorite Kinks songs now. Just a 10 out of 10. But number 2. And number 1, I know it won't be for Glenn Kellaway from the Basement, I tell you. Yeah. Velvet Underground, White Light, White Heat. The very first time I heard this, it was very, very abrasive, and it's like, oh my God, this is terrible. But I didn't know, at that time I wasn't used to Lou Reed, or I hadn't heard any other albums by the Velvet Underground. I hadn't even heard their debut. So this was kind of a shock the first time I heard it. But through the years, I've grown to absolutely love it. Every song. And it is my number 1. So I would love your thoughts in the comments section below. Thanks for watching and have a great day.